Alright guys, Murph's here, and today we're going to be talking about this. A Remington Model 1187 Special Purpose. Now, as usual, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of history. So in the 1960s, Remington came out with the Model 1100, and they introduced it in pretty much every popular gauge available at the time, from 12 all the way down to 410. Now, the 1100 was a wildly successful semi-automatic shotgun, and Remington actually did a ton of research beforehand. They endurance tested the gun, fired thousands of rounds through them. They put them through all kinds of temperature extremes, just real torture test on that shotgun before they released it to the public. And that was a very savvy move on their part, because they came out with one of the best semi-automatic shotguns of the 20th century, in my opinion, for what that's worth. Now, they produced that gun from the 60s all the way into the 80s, and they stopped producing it because during that time span, specifically between the 70s and the 80s, there were a lot of advancements made in shotguns that the 1100 just didn't represent. Now, this is actually something that I find very troublesome about sporting type arms, is that a manufacturer will really stretch a sporting firearm to the extent that they can, the absolute furthest that they can. They'll make a ton of small incremental changes that they don't necessarily designate, but if you start to look at serial number ranges, you can start to kind of catch on to when certain years they changed certain things because perhaps parts weren't durable enough, or maybe a minor simplification for manufacturing. When they want to do something majorly different, but they don't want to completely overhaul a model, they'll unveil a whole bunch of limited edition or dealer sample type upgrades, be it a chambering length or a gauge that they want to be able to chamber the gun in, or perhaps a stock type setup or a coating, whatever it may be. They'll make an entire model or an entire version, not even a model. It's still, it's an 1100, but it's the 1100 super grade, and it has a fancy walnut stock and this, that, and the other. Actually really good upgrade that you wish that they would just go ahead and make a part of the standard line. And manufacturers will stretch that out for years. And that drives me crazy, because eventually they come out with a model that embodies all those things, but it winds up being a brand new model. And you wish that they just done it like 10 years sooner. That's what happened with the 1100 into the Model 1187. So in 1987, Remington went ahead and unveiled all of the brand new top-of-the-line features and upgrades in a brand new shotgun, an update of the Remington Model 1100, which is this. So let's get into this particular gun. The 1187 has only been produced in 12 and 20 gauge, with a 26 or 28 inch barrel. This is a 12 gauge model with a 26 inch barrel. This has rem choke, interchangeable choke tubes, and is also a steel-proofed barrel, both of which are upgrades over the Remington Model 1100. This also has a vent rib barrel on it, which was not a standard feature on the Remington Model 1100. We have two aiming beads, which I'm not that big on two aiming beads, specifically because when I'm wing shooting, I pretty much only focus on the front bead. However, if you're trying to line up on a turkey, or maybe if you had some slugs loaded into this, that would be kind of helpful. I could see the advantage there. This is a gas-operated system. However, in the 1187, they also included an O-ring that you can either install when you're shooting target loads or remove if you're shooting high brass loads. So the system is tunable in that capacity. Now, in addition to that, this is supposed to be a self-regulating system in between those. So you're supposed to be able to run a wide variety of ammunition through this without it having any malfunctions. This furniture is synthetic. Now, if you look at the Remington catalog, they only offer a black synthetic with like a Parkerized looking finish, and then a wood and steel, like wood and blued steel model. They do not show a camouflage model. Now, I am 99% sure that this particular shotgun is some sort of dealer exclusive model. I'm pretty sure, just looking at how this coating has been applied, that this is not some sort of like hydro dipped coating. So Again, speaking on this coating, this is mossy oak. I think it's breakup. Yeah, mossy oak breakup. And I'll tell you what, guys, I do not get wrapped up in camouflage guns. I actually think it's kind of pointless. However, if you try to get within a mile of a deer blind with a duck blind with a non-camouflage gun, every hunter in the duck blind is going to act like you just curb stomped a puppy. Like they legitimately, you would have thought you killed somebody showing up with a non-camouflaged gun. A couple years ago, I was duck hunting with a buddy of mine, and he just kept throwing a fit every time I showed up with my same black synthetic stocked Maverick 88. So I finally got this gun, and then he told me that I got the wrong camouflage pattern, and I haven't been hunting with the guy since. He told me that this would be better suited for turkey, which it may or may not be, but I haven't sat down with a duck or a turkey and asked them what they think about the camouflage pattern, so until I do that, I guess we'll just have to wonder. This does hold 4 shells in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. You come back to here, we have our loading system, which pretty much all semi-automatic shotguns have some type of button incorporated loading system. It's just in the nature of the beast when it comes to semi-automatic shotguns. I consider it a huge miss overall on semi-automatic shotguns. It bothers me. It's a lot more things you have to manipulate. This button you have to press every time you want to load a shell to be able to get the lifter out of the way, and then it is also how you unlock the bolt. When it comes to loading this guy, you can attempt to just go ahead and depress this with your offhand and load shells in, but it gets really crowded, so it's really just ultimately better to just come in at an extreme angle, hit that button, and then feed it into the magazine tube. You can get a replacement piece here that more or less turns this entire section, like that fills this whole area and turns everything into the button that you have to depress in order to be able to hit, in order to be able to insert shells. It actually looks like a really nice upgrade, and it's something that I do plan on adding to this shotgun. Coming back to here, you'll see that we have our safety behind the trigger, which is not my most favorite placement. It's kind of natural coming up from like port arms or a ready position, but I much prefer to have a firmer grip on the gun whenever I'm about to start shooting. So I prefer to have my safeties in front of the trigger guard. 6 of one, half a dozen of another, I guess. We do have this semi-pistol grip here, which is my preferred on shotguns. I like having something to pull the gun into my shoulder with, and actually on wood guns it is structurally stronger. Now you also see that I have this sling. This shotgun came to me with the sling and swivels attached. You'll also note that I have the sling banded to the side of the gun. I'm really big on sling control and retention, so I band all of my slings whenever I have the guns stored, and only unband them if I'm actually going to use this thing. So I'll even shoot them banded up, unless for some reason I have to sling the gun during the shoot. And then coming back to here, we have a nice, comfortable rubber butt pad.
Rolling.
All right. Oh. Now, my use for this gun. I bought this with the intent of using this as a duck gun. However, I haven't been back in a duck blind in close to 2 years. I've also thought about using it as a turkey gun because it is 3-inch chambered, and I mean, I really enjoy hunting turkey. However, I've not hunted turkey in near 8 years. So haven't really been using it for that either. About the only thing I've used this gun so far is for target shooting, and then also it is actually in my home defense setup. Now, why am I using a sporting shotgun in my home defense setup? Well, because of my home defense concept, all I need this thing to do is cover a door, and a 26-inch barreled shotgun can do that just fine. Hell, if you think about it, I'm almost poking the guy in the chest, as I'm huddled by my bed to the door to my bedroom. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I have an inherent mistrust of semi-automatic shotguns. Just the more complexity you introduce into a system, the higher the probability of a malfunction. When we talk about shotgun shells, we're talking about a wide variance of pressures and loadings and all this kind of stuff that really affect function, in addition to a rimmed cartridge. I mean, rimmed cartridges by themselves in semi-automatic systems can present a lot of issues. Now you also take into account that you're trying to run a semi-automatic like you would a pump gun, which doesn't care what ammunition you run through it. Be it low brass or high brass, slugs, all of the above, it'll run it just fine. A lot of semi-automatic shotguns, however, are very particular about loads, and they either want very heavily loaded low brass shells, or they will only really run well on high brass, like hunting grade ammunition. That's not something, it's slightly more expensive and it doesn't bother me to keep it on hand, but when I have both types of ammunition readily available, I do expect that all of my guns will chamber and feed all of my ammunition well. I don't like ammo finicky weapons, and I generally don't keep them for very long. But you'll note that I have this and a Remington Model 1100, and that is because of the self-regulating gas system in this shotgun. I have been shooting these guns for easily 15 years. Not this one specifically, but Remington Model 1100s and the 1187s ever since I was a kid. And I have never known one to consistently malfunction. I can't even think of any malfunctions. I'm sure I've seen one or two, but they are so few and far between, I actually have no issue trusting my life to this shotgun. And that means a lot coming from me, because I generally only trust pump action shotguns in home defense scenarios. For simplicity and reliability, nothing beats the pump action shotgun. That includes this. This does not beat a pump action shotgun. I inherently am concerned that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. However, I truly believe that when is going to be so few and far between that I'm completely fine with trusting my life to this shotgun. Now, in addition to that, I've been considering for a couple of years, well, not really a couple of years, I haven't really owned this for a couple of years yet, but I've been considering for quite some time that this is, between my 1100 and the 1187, that this is the gun that I'm going to optimize for 3-gun competition. Now, presently, I don't shoot 3-gun competition, and the closest 3-gun competition is near 2 hours away from me, and I am lazy and don't want to drive that far on a Saturday morning. I had to get up like 4 in the morning after working a whole week. Nah. It's not sounding like a thing I'll do. Not when I have local competitions. Now, none of the local competitions incorporate shotguns, but with the availability of local competition, that does make it less enticing to travel somewhere to do the same thing that I can already do here, just without a shotgun. However, I would like to optimize a shotgun for 3-gun competition. So, like, add an extended magazine tube, get that extended button, maybe run a mount for a side saddle, shotgun shell holder, and an optic. So that's kind of my future purpose for this particular shotgun. Or, who knows, maybe I'll actually finally get into a duck blind again, and maybe this group of people won't reject me because I have mossy oak breakup on my shotgun. But I think that pretty much covers this shotgun, guys. So have a good day.